Hello and welcome to another edition of Video Games to the Max. I am your host, Sean Garmer, here with me, as usual, Mr. Mark Morrison.
Howdy.
And well, there is quite a bit to talk about today. Some of it video game adjacent, some of it actually about video games. There's been a new Nintendo Indie World, so we'll talk about that. There's more to talk about on the Fallout show because now I've actually finished it, so we can kind of, I guess, talk about spoiler stuff or ending or whatever. There are some games we've been playing. I've been playing that Rising Tide DLC, so I can talk about that. Harold Halibut and some other games, and well, we'll get into all that right after this.
You are listening to Video Games to the Max.
And all right, so let's go ahead and get the whole housekeeping stuff out of the way here. If this is your first time listening or watching or 100th time watching and listening, we do appreciate you. This is episode 394 of Video Games to the Max, and we are usually live on Fridays around like the 12:30, 1 o'clock time, but we delayed this week. Thought Marc was going to have to go do something, and then turns out he didn't. But cool, we're still doing the show, so that's what matters here. If you subscribe to the YouTube channel, you don't just get what we do here. You get all of the other stuff, which there's some awesome crew that does like all the entertainment stuff. So they will have their own Fallout TV show review. I think that's going to be like Friday, up on Friday. They'll record it on Thursday. And we also have our very own like anime show called Otaku Cafe that they basically review all the new, not all of it, but most of the new like anime that they find interesting. It comes out each season. They already have their newest episode up for the first of the spring season. You can go watch that on the channel or just find them on Podcast Otaku Cafe if you're into the anime stuff. So, and like I mentioned, the entertainment folks, they already have the Civil War movie, that one that released recently. They have a review of that up there too if you're interested in that movie. So, beyond that, like I said, you can listen to it with your ears as well. So anytime there's a podcast, if you go subscribe on whatever podcast service you actually like to use, you can listen to us there. Anytime we have a new episode, it drops in your feed and you just download it, whatever. And you'll go hit like, subscribe on those, review if you can, because that helps us grow the show. And well, I think that's it for all the housekeeping. So, Marc, anything going on with you this week?
Kind of an off week for me. Just playing like a few older games. That's about it.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of. It feels like this is when the new games for April have started to release. So you got that, the Rising Tide DLC, Harold Halibut. You got No Rest for the Wicked, which I've seen our friend Keith over at the Outer Havens been playing a lot of. I think he's already played like 37 hours of that game, which is crazy.
Adam gave me a code last night, but it didn't work. So that was cool.
It didn't work. Oh man.
Okay. It was a duplicate or someone, it's probably a PR.
Yeah, one of those where they've used it already and the PR person doesn't realize they have.
Yeah.
Actually, so the reviews will probably be out by the time you're already listening to this. Ayuden Chronicle 100 Heroes, the embargo is actually Sunday, which is weird. Normally you don't have an embargo on Sundays, but it is. I had to go request a code for Last Word on Gaming, and then I was like, he sends it back to me. He goes, "This is supposed to be on a Sunday." I was like, "Hey, I don't make the the stuff. They just tell us when the embargo is. The game comes out on Tuesday, so I guess that's why they did it. Normally, you do it like the day before or something like that. So, so you'll probably have reviews you can read for that game that a lot of people are anticipating. I'm excited to play it. It's going to be on Game Pass as well, so you can play it there. And then, of course, the big games that, Stellar Blade and all that stuff that's going to be the next time we do the show, I'll get to talk about that as well. So hopefully your No Rest for the Wicked code will be working by then.
Yeah.
So you could talk about it. But I guess let's go ahead and start it off with a game that I know you're not the biggest fan of, but Final Fantasy 16 did have its what's supposed to be the last DLC for as far as we know. Dropped on Thursday, and I'm not done with it yet. I'm like actually probably at the battle before you fight Leviathan. I don't know how much you go through after you fight Leviathan, but if the Timekeeper fight, which is the one before Leviathan, is anything to go by, this DLC is going to be freaking great. I've just been enjoying it. There's more lore to that game. If you're big on that, in this whole, it's a whole new town, so it's actually really interesting in how they did this, where they kind of make it where it's like all the stuff you can do in the town that you make at, whether it's the one that Sid makes or the one that is later in the game that Clive takes over. They kind of make this like a second outpost or whatever that exists now within the lore of Final Fantasy 16. So all the side quests are done to kind of build that up, and none of that's going to change, right? So it's the similar stuff that was in the other game, the main base game. So you can expect the side quests are of the similar nature. The only thing that really changes is that the outside of the main like regular enemies that you'll fight, the kind of mini bosses are a bit tougher. They're faster. They react faster. They're kind of like tougher versions of the ones you fight in the game already. So I ran into, like, I guess it's a glitch, but I figured it out after a while that you have to fight like one of those curls, which is like the leopard looking.
Yeah, with the big whisker.
With the big whiskers. And it's in a small little confined space. And if you chase it too far, it will basically randomly just end the fight and then make him walk back to the beginning where he was. And then you have to start all over again. And it happened to me like 3 or 4 times. And I was like, dude, this is so annoying. And then I finally figured out that like I had to stop chasing him towards the other side of let him like basically come back to where, the other side that has the wall that blocks him there, so that he won't, go off the imaginary boundary or whatever. But I love using of course, you also get the Leviathan like icon that you get to use before you actually fight Leviathan, because the Leviathan fight's more about fighting it free. So the way the devs talked about it was the Echoes of the Fallen DLC, which is a shorter one, was kind of like, this is the last story that's about Clive, really. Whereas the one that's with Leviathan, this one, Rising Tide, is more about, this is like Ifrit's closure with the other icons. So you do get the Leviathan like power, and it's actually really cool. Like it seems almost like they basically made him like another Bahamut. So like if you use Bahamut a lot, the icon in the original, the main game, this is kind of like that. A lot of it has that same like base attack where if you hold it, you can shoot out like water balls instead of like shooting out the impulse things or whatever that he does. Or you have one that's just like a straight up like a gun that shoots like a bunch of bullets at once. And the like super special one feels a lot like the Giga Flare or whatever too. I'm sure everybody's seen the Tome Berries at this point, that are kind of like the aside from Leviathan, like the one thing that people kind of recognize from the DLC that they've shown a lot. And yeah, they're definitely different for this one. It took me a while at first because they do similar things to like the regular Tome Berries, like the ones you would find in Rebirth or etc. But they really do spring it on you when he does the big like, oh, this knife's gonna actually kill you moment. The knife still turns red and stuff, but it's like a lot of stabs, not just like one stab. So it's like, oh, okay, here we go. And then the Master Toneberry thing is really cool too. So for the most part, I've really enjoyed it. Having the timekeeper fight, which is like, I guess he's like the warden of the area where Leviathan is. It's really awesome. It has a lot of different changes in like phases and the way you fight him and stuff. Really keeps you on your toes. So that's like a really like climax to that. And they have a neat story as to like how who the dominant is and how that dominant is exists and all that stuff. So again, if you liked 16 and the way they did the story, it's more of that. But I think you'll enjoy it if you like 16 at all. I feel like it's worth the time. It's probably more closer to like, I know that they said 10 hours or so, 8 to 10 hours in the before you get to it, the preview. That's more if I guess you either go through it twice or you also go through that I guess it's the extra arcade mode or whatever, the Kairos mode that has the extra little hint surprise and then an extra like icon thing that you can use. I don't know if I'm going to do that or not, just because I've kind of been more like trying to do this stuff with Rebirth and all that stuff and get through Crisis Core again. But I've been liking the whole story and the DLC so far. So that's my thoughts on it for that. I'm sure the Leviathan fight, from all I've heard, is going to be awesome. So I've heard it's really hard. People are dying in it, which is a difference from the other one. It felt like you were just never going to die.
Yeah, you can't die. It's just a mash fest and slogging your way through it.
Well, I mean, I guess on Final Fantasy mode you probably can, but on the regular mode, yeah.
Yeah, I shouldn't have to play like the super hard mode for the game to be a challenge.
Yeah, I still contend that they did the wrong thing and not allowing you to have that from the beginning. Like they really should have let people have a challenge. And I still don't understand why they didn't unlock that for anybody that's like buying it now. You know, like let people have the ability to play that game, play it on the hardest difficulty. You know, I kind of get it with Rebirth in a way because like that's playing through a much longer game, I guess, or whatnot. But I don't know. I just don't get the point of keeping. I get like the super. I guess they made a mode that's like above hard mode for this game. I get like locking that behind it or whatever, but not the one that might be more challenging you. Especially when it's weird when Yoshi P talks about the reason why they delayed Final Fantasy 14 to like the week that they did was he wanted to play the Elden Ring DLC. It's like you're gonna tell me you're a fan of Elden Ring, but you lock that behind everything. So that's kind of weird. But still, the DLC is enjoyable. I think for the $25 that they charge for both of them, to get around 10 hours of enjoyment with that game still, with those characters, or at least with Clive anyway, getting to hear Venstar again for another whole series of stories, I think is definitely worth it on that front. The other game that I've been playing that's new is Harold Halibut, which if you guys don't know what that is, that's a stop motion indie game. It's on Game Pass, so if you want to go check it out, it is the definition of a walking sim. So if that is not your bag, I'm going to tell you right now that unless you're going to play it on Game Pass because the animation style interests you, which it really is interesting, the way that you see that move and the way they make that so seamless and everything is really, really cool. And the story is actually like very... So like they're stuck in this it's on Earth, but I'm not sure if it's supposed to be like before the Earth that we have now is created, and it's like a Earth that's like all in water. Kind of almost feels like BioShock in a way a little bit too. And so he works for like the water company, all water company. He's kind of like the maintenance guy or whatever. And you kind of have some little light puzzle things that you have to do, but most of it is just going, talking to people, unraveling the story as it goes in the various ways that they do it. Kind of getting to meet the characters and that kind of stuff. I think for the most part, it serves that purpose. I think it's really good the way that it all does that. I haven't finished it yet, so I can't really comment on the like how the story goes or anything. But I'm really, I'm. It's just I think it's one of those things where like I've been playing so many action games that it's not serving the purpose of being the break. It was kind of like, okay, this is a bit too slow for me right now when I'm playing all these other games that are so different, you know?
Yeah.
That I might just like come back to it later when I really don't have anything that I'm like super playing and then like finish it out. But I am enjoying it. I think anybody that like likes those kind of story games definitely go give it a go. Again, if you have Game Pass, like why not? But if you don't, I don't think that this game is going to change that for you, right? It's not trying to be anything else. It is that kind of game. So,
right.
Yeah. Anything you've been playing there?
I played about half of Mafia 2. I got real bored. The Mafia 2 remaster. That is a very boring game.
Okay.
I'm like,
so
really
you got
amazed.
bored and played the boring game. That's interesting.
Well, I got to be like, I guess I didn't like. Well, the reviews for like okay, they're 7s and 8s. But I played it and I was like, wow, like there's nothing to do in this game except go like point A to point B, like missions, and that's about it. Like, I hit chapter 9, and I think that was like when I found my first collectible, and it was like some Playboy magazine, and I was like, yo,
Okay.
I missed a bunch of these. Like,
Yeah.
Like it would have been helpful if they told me in chapter 1, hey, look out for this crap a little. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm playing a little of the OuterWorlds, or replaying it.
Okay.
I never finished that game back in the day, so now I'm playing it on PC, and it's a little more fun. And it holds up. Like, it's kind of surprising.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of Fallout in it,
right?
Right. So.
Yeah, and I think it'll hold up more than like not Star Citizen, the whatever the hell Bethesda made last year, their space game.
Oh, Starfield. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. Because it just has like more of a personality and like more, right. Like humor and like just stuff going on. Like I don't need like a big open galaxy to explore. I'd be happy with 6 planets that are actually interesting rather than 1,000 planets that aren't.
Yeah, I definitely understand that. Yeah.
But well, you finished Fallout.
Yes. Since we're talking about Outer Worlds, makes sense. Let's go on and talk about Fallout. But just before we, I guess, talk about stuff that has to do with the show, when we were doing the show last week, they had talked about that they moved locations, but they hadn't officially announced from Amazon itself that they had given it a season 2. Now they have announced that. So it officially has a season 2 now. So anybody that's worried about not watching it because you were worried about, it may not do well enough to get a season 2, it has season 2. So go check it out. Also, it's done a hell of a lot for the games. So in fact, Fallout 4 was the number 1 rated game last week in Europe even. I picked them all up on the sale because the Game of the Year edition on Xbox was $10. And then I already had 3, but it was like a physical disc or whatever. And it was like $250. And I was like, why not? Whatever. And then New Vegas was also $250. And I was like, why not? So for $10, if you don't even get the Game of the Year edition, because the regular version of Fallout 4 was $5, I think the sale ended. It was ended on the 20. Well, actually, it may be on until tomorrow. I'm not sure exactly when the sale was supposed to end, at least on Xbox anyway. So for like $10, I got all 3 games.
Right.
That definitely makes a difference, right? Like if you're talking about these games being regular price, like let's say they're all 30 even, I don't think you're seeing the sales that you're seeing.
Right. But they're all old, and why not pick them up for $5 or whatever for a song basically? And
Steam was giving you everything, I think, for like $10, even Fallout 1 and 2, like the whole anthology or whatever. So also saw a lot of people talking about now's the time to remake Fallout 1 and 2. Do you think that even though they're different, it's a different studio and all that?
That's the problem.
Yeah,
well, it's a very different game. Like they could remake the plot, I guess, or the story, but it's just such a different experience that I don't think it would go over too well. Or have like an Exile or the Wasteland developers remake Fallout 1 and 2.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely would have to be that, right? It would be Bethesda basically taking their own kind of thoughts on it. The only cool thing is, I mean, I guess they have Obsidian in-house, so maybe they could come up with different ties to how do you all tie this together and kind of make it or do you let maybe Obsidian do it? Like, do you let Obsidian make the 1 and 2 and Bethesda kind of is just there to kind of supervise, or Todd Howard supervises or whatever? Like, it'd be interesting if they did it right to make it more modern or whatnot, but the games are available and they're available on PC Game Pass as well. So it's not like you can't play them. It's just, if you weren't like big on PC games in that time, I don't know that they necessarily appeal to like the modern.
No, God,
gamer,
no.
right? Yeah. So that's the thing, is that,
but
for the people that care about chronology, I guess.
I mean, oh well, like
yeah,
you don't have to play them. Like
right.
Most of that show isn't concerned about Fallout 1 and 2. So.
Yeah. Besides, by the time we get Fallout 5, it's gonna be what, like, we don't even know if we're gonna get Elder Scrolls.
He doesn't want to put a date on it, so that means never.
So, but he said again that Elder Scrolls is the next game, right? So, Elder Scrolls is coming. Elder Scrolls 6 is coming first, and it doesn't mean that they won't make like another Fallout thing, right? They could make a side game or something that's smaller that is not.
They don't know how to do small.
You're right about that. They don't. But I mean, unless you're doing like something completely not it, like Fallout Shelter, right? But still, it's there. The possibility is there. He mentions that it doesn't mean that they won't do anything Fallout related, but we won't get a Fallout 5 until after Elder Scrolls 6 is done, and that's going to be a long while. So get ready for that. That unfortunately they don't have a brand new game to capitalize on that. Whereas like the Last of Us TV show had The Last of Us Part 1 remaster, remake or remaster to go along with that. Then you got Part 2 like really quickly.
Well, they had that
later.
next gen patch for Fallout 4. So that'll be good enough.
Yeah. I guess you do have 76. 76 is out there and people are enjoying that.
They're bad people, but okay.
No, I mean, it's gotten better with the expansions and everything. It just took a long time. When it first came out at launch, it wasn't great. But again, MMOs are not for everybody, right? Not everybody wants to be in that like continuous world where you feel like you gotta be playing that consistently. So, but for the people that like the live service stuff, I guess that's there, so that's good. That's good that this show is so well made that it's helping the games. It's helping broader knowledge of what that whole series is and the whole group of games. It's always good when you see things like that. As far as
What are your thoughts on it? Like overall as a show?
As a show, it's a really damn good show. For somebody that doesn't play the games really, Just taking it as seeing the show for what it is, I really enjoyed it. I never felt like, I think it goes at a pretty good pace. There's good humor. I love the parts where it slows down and does the ridiculous fights with the gore and the 50s music and all that stuff. That's I'm excited every time one of those comes. The way they do the story with the flashbacks is really good too, I thought. Tying that in with why Walton Goggins' character is the way he is makes, because when we had done it last week, I'd only watched like the first couple or 3 episodes. Yeah. So now it makes more sense, like why he is the way he is. Like that, it makes sense. He did something to himself to make him be able to last this long, so that he could, do what he does at the. So at this point, I'm just going to say, if you haven't watched the show, we talked about it more like non-spoilerly last week. So beyond this point, I'm going to say there's a chance that we could talk about the show where there's spoilers. So
it's been a week and a half. So
I'm not. And the shows all came out at once. But
right,
it's like,
exactly, yeah.
Just saying that from now on, don't get upset if we're talking about the show and you haven't watched it yet, and we spoil something. But yeah, I think they did a great job. Like the way they show the stuff about Lucy's mom, like what happened with that was really well done. How they tie that all into the new, like. So now that I have your understanding of, I guess, the whole issue with the last 2 episodes that you had. So what is it about those 2 episodes for you that like really is
the problem with the show is it is a timeline problem.
Yeah.
So they say that Shady Sands fell in 2277, I think.
Right.
And then they show like the next thing on the blackboard is it getting nuked. And it doesn't say when that happens, but you have to imagine it's probably pretty soon after that, because it couldn't have just gotten nuked like 5 years ago, because Maximus was like a little 8-year-old kid. So it had to have been nuked 10, 15 years ago. I assume it was nuked in 2277.
Right.
The problem with the show, and the reason a lot of people were pissed, is Fallout New Vegas takes place in 2281. So why the fuck would the NCR be so obsessed with getting like New Vegas and the Hoover Dam when their capital just fell?
Well, I mean, it's still there, right? That's the last shot of the whole series. The whole season 1 is that New Vegas is there.
No.
Yeah.
No, because in New Vegas, the game, like it's like it's a powered up. Okay. It's still working, or it's still operational. So, no, the problem is in the game, which obviously was written 15 years ago or made a decade ago, or I think 15 years ago, whatever. They never mentioned like the NCR falling, or I mean, hell, the NCR president is in the game as like a character. Mm-hmm. But in the show, they just kind of gloss over that, and it's wonky because like there's a 4-year difference there. Like they could have written around it to be like, oh, the end, like Shady Sands fell in 2284. That would have mitigated all this crap, really, or that would have just been like fine. And I actually don't care that New Vegas fell. Like, it's perfectly reasonable that within 15 years after the game, that New Vegas as a city fell. But the problem is, like, in the New Vegas game, there's like a whole NCR contingent, or like, there are men and there are gear in like Vegas. So why would they be there if their capital just fell 4 years ago? Like they wouldn't have the resources or anything like that. And I realize it's like a nitpicky asshole kind of thing, but it feels like weirdly deliberate that they did that. And I can't figure it out why they did it. And the other thing that kind of bugs me is the Moldaver character. Like, I love the actress and I like the idea of her, but in the past she's like this like intelligent, like quote unquote communist who invented cold fusion. And then she's also in the present. So you have to go like, okay, you have to assume that she was frozen, but she didn't like Vault-Tec, so why would she freeze herself? Or,
Well, I
really...
mean, if she knows that the Lucy's dad is gonna freeze himself, right?
Yeah.
And
but
this
she
is
didn't
kind
really
of yeah.
she didn't really seem like she knew of him, I think. Or she
Right.
only knew of him because of like Lucy's mom. I mean,
Right, but that makes sense. It's the same thing as like the ghoul, like why he did something to make sure he was still around. It seems like it's it's just a mechanism to make sure that we're gonna get our revenge on Vault-Tec.
Yeah.
Or
but
maybe
I guess
that's something they're gonna reveal in season 2 if they go in a backstory on her, like how she wound up to this point.
Also, the other thing is like, and this is kind of a weird thing also, but in not season 8, in episode 8, you discover, or it's majorly implied, let's say, that Vault-Tec is the one who unleashed the bombs on, the US and China.
Right.
And Cooper's ex-wife, she's not like leading Vault-Tec, but she's like the Vault-Tec representative. And they're already split up at that point, which is fine. But you'd think that she would know the day they're going to do that and would say, hey, I want to keep my daughter for that day, not have her out in the world. Like, he's the one who like rescues her. So it's like, what? Like, and because he's going like, oh, where's my family? It's like, well, you don't know about your ex-wife. I mean, you can probably assume she's in a vault somewhere, but like, you're the one who had your daughter. Like, you don't remember what happened?
Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe something happens. Yeah.
Like I said, I just like I really like the first like 5 or 6 episodes, and then they do that like the classroom thing that kind of irked me, and then like episode 8 is like really where it kind of fell apart for me, at least like from a narrative perspective.
Yeah.
But I did like the idea of like Lucy's dad being evil, and I like the idea of the I forget her name. I think her name is Stephanie, but the blonde Vault-Tec lady with that one eye, who's also evil.
Right. Yeah, that was a good. I also like the story with the brother, Lucy's brother, and the.
See, I like the idea of that one,
thing too.
But it's so obvious what he's going to do, like in season 2. So
yeah,
he's just going to start busting up those fucking cryo tubes until the robot lets him out.
Yeah,
which is what I would do. Like I'd be like, all right,
exactly.
You want to save these people? I have a rock, and let's do this.
Yeah,
but I don't like. It'll be interesting to see what happens if they do go to like New Vegas. I do like the idea of like Lucy and the ghoul being on a more equal footing for season 2, and it'll be interesting if she actually like knows who he is, because I think in like episode 1, her and her dad were like watching westerns on on their TV. So if the ghoul goes, oh, my name is Cooper, and she's like, Cooper, I forget his last name, Hawks or Hawking or something.
Yeah.
So I liked a lot of it, and I do like the idea in the Brotherhood of Max Biss like being such a fuck up, but just keep getting promoted constantly.
I love that. I love the fact that he's like totally not the one that should be the main when you think about the Brotherhood of Steel or whatever. Like the guy that he replaces is sort of the prototypical what you think of that whole the way they're setting that up, and then it makes those moments where he does funny stuff with the suit on or whatever much better.
I've seen a lot of online discourse calling him a himbo, like a male bimbo.
Yeah.
And I kind of see that. I think they're being a little mean about it, but he is like weirdly sheltered, or like he's not like curious or doesn't understand a lot of stuff, which I thought was funny.
Well, he does like want to, I guess, keep, like you said, keep getting promoted, keep having ambitions or whatever. But he was also a kid. Like he went from being a kid that had no one around him to, I guess this is like his found family to another respect. And then he kind of doesn't know what to do at that point. It's almost like, okay, yeah, he's been on the surface and he knows like how shitty the world is, but there's a lot like when he goes into the vault and then finds that like, oh, there's oysters and there's other shit, and he's like, wait, I want to stay here. This is amazing, you know?
Right.
So, he kind of gets experience like what Lucy lived with for all that time,
right,
and see what's great about that. So, yeah.
So you never played Fallout 3 or 4 before?
I played some of New Vegas. I played a little bit of 3. I played a little bit of 4. That's it. Like I know the basic concept of what you do in Fallout, but I not really experienced that much of it to really, you know.
The one funny thing to me, there is a perk in Fallout, in all the games actually, but in 3 and 4 they made it a little more relevant or a little more visual, called the Mysterious Stranger. And that's a perk that like occasionally when you go into vats and kill someone, like this like figure pops out and he's just having a fedora and he like one-shots the enemy you're trying to kill. And it'd be really funny if in the show they recreate that just with Michael Emerson.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
There's like really a lot of fun little moments in this show that's like really well done, even if you don't understand the game. Yeah.
The one weird thing to me, and this isn't actually like a knock against the show per se, but it's like I always like, how come there aren't any super mutants around?
Yeah, I wonder if they're saving that for
like they're such a big deal in the games, but it's like you don't see any of them, or they're not mentioned at all or anything. It was like, what? Like the end of the season, they show like the Deathclaw skull, and that's about it.
Yeah. And then they show the Gulper, like where the Gulper comes from or whatever.
Well, yeah, that's like episode 4 or 5.
Yeah,
I think 4 or 5. Yeah. So overall, I liked it, but I think like as a show, I think like The Last of Us is still better. But I think Fallout is like it's more fun, at least for most of it, you know?
I think I love the fact that it makes odes to the show, but it took liberties with things. Like it did its own thing. Last of Us is just really trying to be The Last of Us, the TV
show. It's a really straight adaptation.
And that's great. And there's nothing wrong with that. And it's still a great piece of TV show by itself. But I enjoyed this, I think, just as much because I didn't feel like, I was just playing one of the games or whatever. Like, this is its own thing, you know?
It's not beholden to a specific game. So
right, exactly. Why. It could feel like it could be its own game if it wanted to, right? Like they could literally just decide to make a game off this storyline if they wanted, which would be interesting in a way if they ever kind of like went down that route or whatnot. But you know, Todd Howard did say they can do whatever they want. Just don't take any story that it's going to be the one for Fallout 5, which, okay, I guess if he's like overseeing that, he would know if that's the one.
What story? You're barely even making it. You know what the fuck you want to do?
Like I wonder if that's how far into pre-production is that game even?
Yeah, exactly. You know? Like they have a name and maybe like a logo, and that's about it.
I mean, yeah, exactly. The same stuff they showed off at that whatever E3 it was is probably where it's still at because they have to do the Elder Scrolls 6, and they're still doing Starfield, and they're still doing you know, other things right now. So yeah, it's a lot. But again, this is a really good show. People should go watch it.
Yeah,
and hopefully y'all all like it. So yeah, I don't think that those are wrong. The people that were sitting there saying that, this shouldn't be compared to Last of Us or whatever, I definitely think it deserves to have its own comparison for what it does. And you know, so
to Halo instead.
Yeah, definitely not Halo. At least this thing understands what actually helps make the Halo show or you know its world great. The Halo show just decided it wanted to take stuff from Halo and make its own show, and it just, I don't know. I've heard season 2 is better, but
It's
I don't know.
weird, but yeah, it still has like a whole bunch of like weird side characters that like don't feel germane at all to the plot, and it's like, yo,
Right.
why is this Asian chick still in this show when she doesn't matter? Or they could just assign her basic importance to the story to someone else,
Yep, for sure.
But we can move on.
But yeah, there's other TV show stuff that decidedly came out this week as well. So we know Witcher season 4 is in production. It obviously does not have Henry Cavill in it. That is now Liam Hemsworth that's going to be doing Geralt. And apparently they think things are going so well that Netflix has decided that it is going to have finality. It's going to get to season 5, and they're going to wrap up all 3 of the final books between season 4 and 5, apparently. So I know Henry Cavill's not going to be there to make sure that they do honor the books. So I guess they'll be happier that way. But we'll see. I guess I'm expecting a huge drop for that show as soon as it hits.
Exactly. This is, I think, why they're canceling it. They're like, well, Henry Cavill, not Liam. No, is it Liam?
Liam Hemsworth, yeah.
Yeah, he's a lot cheaper than Henry Cavill. And you don't have to follow the books anymore. So you can just write our own stupid ending and kind of go from there.
Yeah, exactly. It feels like Netflix, I guess, wants to just make sure they give it finality. Hopefully they do it justice. I stopped watching after like season 2, so
I never watched it because I don't.
You didn't?
That's not a huge interest in like fantasy. Like, I'm sure it was fine when he was still on it, but I'm cool.
Yeah. Season 1 was really, really good. Like, it deserved all
yeah,
that.
I heard season 1 is good and season 2 was like passable, but season 3 is kind of a huge mess.
Yeah, it starts going really down after season 2, and it was just like, But yeah, it's at least going to have a final season of season 5 with Netflix kind of being a bit more. They'll just can't. I mean, they've been like that for a while, but it feels like even more now. They're being very, we'll just cancel whatever, and you're just going to deal with it. So good that they're at least committing to that for now. Let's see what happens if season 4 comes out and like hardly anybody's watching it, if they'll still do that or not. But yeah,
I think they will, just because like, why not?
Yeah,
maybe not though. I mean, they may try to move on to like another show, like, or another, let's face it, another video game property.
Well, I mean, yeah, they're already working on Horizon. So
maybe they'll have a Metro show, Metro 2033.
You know what? Metro's a good one that could be a show if they wanted to do it.
Yeah.
It's got enough games. They definitely do have like their own kind of lore that's interesting. So
they can just reuse a lot of Fallout sets.
yeah, that too. Use the Fallout stuff too. Comedy Central is going to be making a Golden Axe show. Not something I thought I was going to hear paired together is Comedy Central and Golden Axe. Okay. And then, go ahead.
I guess my question is, why? Like, I can understand the appeal of like, oh, it's a cartoon, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's voice acted. So it's like, okay, it's a fantasy comedy show. Mm-hmm. It's like, all right, sure, why not? I mean, they already got that Matt Groening Disenchanted show, but hey, it's a different spin. But it's like, why tie it to Golden Axe? Like, only people, I would say, what, you're 37, right?
Yeah.
Only people like 35 and older know what Golden Axe is. Like,
yeah, that's one of those like deep cuts that you had to be around in the early Sega days to know.
Why not like a Ghosts and Goblins game or a TV show or something like that,
Yeah. It's like,
yeah.
I don't know. It's like, I guess they picked it because you have like pretty open-ended characters. You can literally have them do whatever you want, and it wouldn't really matter. Is there any kind of like oh my god, they didn't. I mean, all they have to do is do like some attacks from the Golden Axe games, and you pretty much got it or whatever.
Well, it's pretty much the main guy has to be blue. The girl has to have a red leotard or red outfit, and the dwarf has to be green and be the best character, just like the games.
I think as long as if they can, Dungeons and Dragons show that you can be funny and have allusions to the actual source material and be good.
Yeah.
I hope they don't go like all Scott Pilgrim about it either. But I guess we got to see how it goes. Like there's some, like I love Danny Pudi. Anytime I've seen him in a show, he makes me laugh. So the whole cast, Liam McIntyre, Matthew Reese, Carl Tarth, they're all good. So
no, one downside to me is it looks like Mike Mahan was gonna write it or do it, and he does Lower Decks, Star Trek, and I'm like, no.
Lower Decks seems to have like a really polarizing. Like, there's people that like Lower Decks a lot, and there's people that just don't.
Jens likes it.
Yeah,
and it makes me lose respect for him when he brings it up.
See,
like, what are you doing?
Friends there. So,
mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sega said that they're doing stuff with their properties, and they weren't joking, right? They're making all these games, and they're making even TV shows with them. So we'll see. I'm surprised nobody's tried to do a Jet Set Radio like anime or something yet with that.
I can see that either like a real anime or like an animated show. The one show or the one property that I'm kind of mystified that no Western, let's say, company has tried is Persona, because they could pretty easily transition that into like a live action show. Where I
feel like Atlas is a little bit more guarded about that. Like, I think they like
Sega
to
owns Atlas, so who cares?
Right, but I mean, to me, like that's saying that we should have a Like a Dragon show, and I don't see that happening either. Like they do that so well in their own games that
they got the actors to do it. If they got the actors to do it, why not?
I also think that like Atlas likes doing the animes of the games. So,
but I just think like a westernized Persona show that is like less crazy than Riverdale would be kind of cool.
Yeah, would be kind of interesting if they could do it. Would they let them do it? I don't know.
Right.
Speaking of interesting choices, we have found out that Keanu Reeves is going to voice Shadow the Hedgehog in the Sonic 3 movie, which is still scheduled to come out December 20th. Not the one I thought of, I guess, but I guess if you want to make them cool, if you want to make them known,
I assume he's only doing it because the first choice, which was going to be Carrot Top, decided not to do it.
Definitely.
No, he's fine. If you want, he can do like Moody Asshole.
Yeah.
So sure, why not?
Yeah. It's interesting to me. I like it. Keanu Reeves obviously is, such a huge actor at this point that
he does a lot of
Yeah. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say he actually does like a lot of weird voice work. Like
yes.
So yeah, sure.
I mean, like why not? Because we saw him in Cyberpunk. People loved him there. And now you say that Shadow's being voiced by Keanu Reeves. People are going to go to the theater just for that.
Yeah, I remember. Well, he was like in Toy Story 4.
Yeah.
Legion of Super Pets. The SpongeBob movie, and that Keanu movie.
Yeah. So that's expected.
Right.
So
yeah, go for it.
Yeah. It's interesting how much like just gaming TV show stuff decided to come out all at once, and it feels like we're going to get more of that as time goes on because games are especially with the Fallout show doing well, I'm pretty sure there's like more games that people are tapping up.
Yeah,
To...
like I said last time, like comics are kind of tapped out, so might as well move on to the next frontier.
Yep, exactly. Just hopefully we see more good ones than bad ones. As we've learned, you want to keep this golden age of TV going. Let's do it the good way.
Yeah.
Speaking of bringing things to to their golden age, apparently, according to Holly Longdale, executive producer, vice president of World of Warcraft, she was asked in a recent interview with VGC about what do they think about how things have been since Microsoft's taken over. She says, if anything, it's just been helpful. They can get information and tips from Mojang and the Elder Scrolls Online team and kind of see what's been working for them and kind of see if they can use that in World of Warcraft. No one's asking us to do anything. They're basically letting us be Blizzard. Obviously, that is Microsoft's MO for better or worse. It's worked for some, not worked for others. Depending on who you ask. But as somebody that still plays WoW, and
I only dip my toes in it occasionally.
But you still review the new expansions or whatever when it comes out. So, do you have faith that they can help in improving it, or?
Yes and no. I would say yes in the fact that like they have more money behind them now, and hopefully they can get more development time in. But no, because like their company culture is kind of toxic, even without all the sexual harassment stuff, that plagued them.
Yeah, but I mean the main guy is gone, right? Like,
right.
Yeah.
But I just mean like their whole like Blizzard magic, or like, oh, we know people want to work here, so that's why we pay them less. That type of BS,
Yeah, I mean, I would assume it already improves 100% by having other people that are not Bobby Kotick at the head of your having to deal with it.
But also,
I think. Go ahead. Sorry.
I think Blizzard just needs to like. They have a lot of people working for them, but they don't make a lot of games.
Right.
And that's kind of an issue, or that's kind of a problem. Like, their last new property was Hearthstone, I think, or no, Overwatch, I guess.
Overwatch, yeah.
And that was 2016. And the last one you made, Overwatch 2, didn't exactly set the world on fire. Hearthstone is kind of flatlining. Heart of the Storm is gone. StarCraft 2 is old. World of Warcraft's still trucking along, but that's kind of about it.
Right. I mean, the thing is, they make games that just keep going. Right. It's not they don't really have this like one and done kind. Even the game that got canceled, I'm pretty sure it's a survival game that's supposed to keep going.
Right.
Right.
But I think that's kind of a. I'm not saying they need to be like Ubisoft and have like yearly releases or anything, but like they don't innovate well, and they're like, okay, we put out a game a decade ago, and we're done,
Yeah.
And like that's or no, Diablo 4. I mean, that's not a new game or not a new property, but that came out and like that's had a pretty disastrous like post-launch, line of progress. So I actually think, honestly, I think Microsoft should be taking more of the reins of some of these developers, like Bethesda. Like, if you want to keep Todd Howard as like the figurehead, go ahead. But like, actually setting goals for the company or like deadlines.
I mean, to be fair, Starfield was the first one in this Game Pass era that has proven that people will buy the game if there's enough hype and care behind it. Like,
yeah.
Did the game end up being like the game of the generation? No.
But Todd said it was, so it has to be true.
I think that was more like people wanting it to be that. I don't think did he ever really say that?
I think he did.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I imagine that the first game from a Todd Howard and in the first new property from Todd Howard in however many years, I'm sure he's going to be excited and hope that it becomes, the next big thing or whatever. And now that Fallout TV show is done, well, I keep seeing people being like, this is just Fallout in space, people. You should care more about, Starfield. But I mean, Fallout 4 wasn't that well received either, to be fair.
Right.
So, I mean, really, when was like Deathloop, right? Deathloop was the last like big Bethesda game that people really loved, but that wasn't a Todd Howard thing. That was the Arcane studio.
Right.
Doing that. So the main Bethesda team that has Todd, I think, is the one that kind of they were hoping would really be bringing in, and it did to an extent. It brought those people in, but yeah. Let's see with this lineup that they have this year between Avowed and Indiana Jones and all that stuff. I think if you're not creating a buzz around Xbox at that point with these games, I think there's an issue there at that point. Like, you got Hellblade, you got this, you got, these are some of the ones people have been waiting on. You got to start delivering when it comes to that. So yeah, for sure. But leave it to, we talked about that previous regime. One of the ones that also left was also formerly part of Xbox previously during the disastrous Xbox One and all that. Mike Ybarra, he went on Twitter, X. I'm not going to call it X. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's Twitter.
He said that when I beat a game, there are some that just leave me in awe of how amazing the experience was. I've often thought I wish I could give these folks another $10 or $20 because it was worth more than my initial $70, and they didn't try to nickel and dime me every second. Most would have liked the idea, and that we're tired of tipping and everything else, but I view this different from a pressure to tip type scenario. And he talks about, the big gains from PlayStation, Horizon Zero Dawn, God of War, like Baldur's Gate 3, Elden Ring, that kind of thing. I don't think this would ever happen, right? Where we're just going to tip AAA devs.
If he wants this to happen, AAA should be like $20, and it's like I will, depending on how good the game is, I will accordingly give you more.
I mean, for one, it's not going to go to those developers directly. Right, it's going to go to the publisher. It's going to go to other people.
Worry. Every game can just set up a PayPal donation link. You're like, click here to donate more to Insomniac Games.
Yeah, like, I mean, indies do that, right? And they have the Kickstarter. And you have Kickstarters. You have ways you can send them directly donations at times, and all of those things. They get backing from capital firms and all that stuff.
I think it's kind of a fool's errand because most of the games he listed, like, if you want to do that with like a traditional AAA game, you just buy the DLC.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, but like, I think Spider-Man has some DLC, but like Elden Ring at the moment doesn't. I mean, they announced it, but it's not out yet.
It'll be out in 2 months. We know it is.
Yeah, but I mean, it's also that was 2 years ago. I mean, the game came out 2 years ago. It's not like DLC was like the next week or anything.
At the time, we didn't know that it was going to have DLC. They thought it was going to just be a one and done game, and that's it.
Yeah.
Obviously, because of how popular it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Baldur's Gate 3 doesn't have DLC.
Right.
Horizon. I mean, they had that one, but it's not like cosmetic DLC or
It's a chunky DLC. Like
I'm saying it's good, but I'm
right.
But like, I think a AAA nowadays, like Diablo 4, like the cosmetic DLC, or Call of Duty, or most Ubisoft games, they give us $5 more bucks and get this cool costume. Yeah, give us $5 and get this costume, or not these cheap pack or whatever. Like, I could see what he means by that. Like, you can kind of correlate that to like kind of like know what he means or know what you're talking about. But also, like, I don't like most of those games enough to give them my money. So,
Yeah, but the people that do, like, I get what he's saying. Like, at the end of the day, like, I get he feels like, oh, I wish I could give them more, but you kind of already can, right? Like you said, there's, you could gift the game to somebody, and that's another way to
yeah, or
give a
buy like
tip, right?
merch,
Like,
or like buy merch from the games company, or
yeah, it doesn't make any sense to even. I just think that would even send even more bad vibes than we already do with games costing too much. Ubisoft came under fire again because of the whole tying that Jabba Hut mission to Star Wars Outlaws, right?
yeah,
Like we already kind of have so many. I get he's saying, "Oh, they didn't nickel and dime me or whatever," but okay, we're gonna give them money for that. Like they're doing that because they can, because it's freaking Sony. It's Larian. They choose not to. They didn't want to make DLC, right? Like it's a choice.
yeah,
Elden Ring, they did it because Bandai Namco looked at the rest of their slate and go, "Oh shit, we need something that's going to bring in the revenue," right? Like again, like I think we talked about this towards the beginning of the year. If you look at Bandai Namco's sales and stuff like that when they did the forecast
right,
after Elden Ring and how much it plummeted, like they're doing it because they know Elden Ring will give them some money. Like let's be honest, it's not to be like, oh, let's be cool to the fans. Yeah, I'm sure maybe the developers have that idea, but come on, the publisher and FromSoft, they all want to make money. Let's be honest here. All right.
yeah,
Mike Ybarra is a figurehead, and I get that, but to me it just comes from a weird place, where like a lot of it kind of just seems like
it's
not great to say right now.
it's very much out of the norm, or like it's like the Gilded Tower thing, or not understanding like the regular person,
Yeah,
because regular
exactly.
folks already think the games are too expensive already, and asking, oh, here's a 10% tip or 20% tip, just based on how good it is. It's like, the game that should have been included. It's already in the price, you idiot. Like,
Exactly. We there's been a story going around about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth sales, right? And why is it not selling that well and all that stuff? And I think about it and go, well, look at the economy that we're in. You're asking
yeah,
$70 for a game that has half the install base that Remake had, and that came out at the end of the PS4 life cycle, at the heart of the pandemic, when everybody was at home playing video games. It was the first one. People always buy the first one because it's the most exciting. It's new. Nobody. You can watch trailers all day, but you don't really know how the rest of that Midgar section is going to go. Like, what's going to make this a remake? And then there's a lot of people that probably bought that game still not understanding that is one part of a multiple part series of Final Fantasy VII, and got mad that, oh, they're continuing this. I'm not buying the second game, right?
right,
It's too convoluted. It's too MCU. It's whatever you want to call it, right? I think also we've seen Final Fantasy games in general have a longer tail, right? So how many people bought that twin pack that came out that gave away Remake and for you to buy Rebirth? Like that thing was
yeah,
that thing was charting by itself. So I think we need to like cool it too much on the whole, oh my God, this game is doomed and all that stuff that people are saying. You're not looking at it in the context that 4 years later, it's a whole different spectrum of gaming than it was back in 2020 when we were at the peak of why all this is happening, where you have even Take-Two laying off people, the people that publish and own Rockstar and Grand Theft Auto 6, are laying off people. They just bought Gearbox, right? And they're laying off people. So I get that they said supposedly it's a restructuring that they were going to do before all of these announcements and whatever, but still, that stuff's happening because of what happened in 2020 and 2021. And you can't expect games to, like, a second game in a trilogy of games that people already saw what happened with the first game, where they were giving it away so you would buy the second game. And then most people are not going to believe that junk that Square is selling you that says, oh, I don't need to know anything about Remake in order to play this game. There's no way you can play Rebirth if you just want to play the game, but you're not going to understand one fucking thing that's happening in the game because it's a continuation of the last game. So I don't know. I just think we're like blowing that up. But going back to the original point of it's ivory tower stuff, like you said. It's very, hey, I can say that because I've been there. But yo, like you said, most people are not going to like this. Yeah, because we're paying too much for games. We talked about it last week. Star Wars Outlaws is insane, the price that they're asking for that premium edition. If there's ever been a game more than Prince of Persia was, where I'm going, oh, where's that Ubisoft Plus so I can sign up right now and get that for like $18, beat that thing in a month and not buy the game? That's what I'm doing, because I'm not paying. Oh, look, I get it. You don't have to pay the $120 version or $150 version or whatever. But it's like, that's insane that you're asking that much for a quote unquote premium edition that you're tying a story beat into to try to get people to buy it. And yeah,
well, they only said it was one job mission. There's going to be a whole bunch of them, but
right, but still, they're doing it because they know they'll get people to
get. Yeah, well, it's a given their track record of previous Assassin's Creed and other crap. Like, I wouldn't hold your breath.
Definitely not. I wouldn't hold my breath either, and also I wouldn't hold my breath that game is going to go on sale really quick, because they probably will. Prince of Persia has already been on sale. Skull and Bones has been on sale already.
I figure once Prince of Persia hits $20, then I'll probably pick it up.
That's exactly where I'm at. Maybe 25 or something like that. I'll pick it up too. I really liked what I played a lot.
Sure, so did I. But like, asking $40 or $50 for a Metroidvania of I wouldn't say it's an unknown franchise, but a extremely dormant one that
right, at least in that style, right? Because it was an action game prior to that, with the puzzle stuff. So
I mean, you can make people have made the argument like, oh, you paid $50 or $60 for Metroid Dread. It's like, well, I care about the Metroid.
Well, also it's Nintendo. That's not gonna. If it goes on a sale, it's like $50.
Yeah.
Right. Nintendo doesn't do big sales like that.
Right.
So you might as well just buy the game at launch, because if you wait, the most you're gonna see it go down to is the 40, maybe on Black Friday. So yeah, it's usually like the third party stuff, like even Octopath Traveler never went under 30, I think.
Yeah, that's what Octopath Traveler 2 is going for about these days.
And that's fine, but
yeah.
All right. Moving from that whole business there, Ayuden Chronicle is also it will most likely have a sequel, is what the dev team is talking about here. They were doing a Reddit AMA, and of course, it's logical that, considering that your game is about to come out, people are going to ask you what's next for Rabbit and Bear. And if you remember, we talked about it when it happened. Unfortunately, and very sadly, Yoshitaka Moriyama passed away. Of course, he's the creator of Suikoden as well. And what this game is basically based on. And they did say that he laid out a plan for there to be a sequel. Like they kind of already had ideas and things running for what would be a sequel if they made it. And they're saying that they're moving forward definitively with one. I mean, the game hasn't come out yet, so neither one of us have been able to play it per se.
Yeah,
but,
it's kind of up in the air.
yeah.
Like, I hope it does well sales wise, and it can generate interest in a new game. I hate to say it, I have my doubts, but we'll see.
I definitely think there's been people waiting for this. They've been waiting for a Suikoden for a long time. So
yeah, I'm one of them.
Yeah, if this game does well, I think, and it does like capture the spirit of Suikoden, I think you definitely could see people, do go buy it and support it. It helps it's on Game Pass as well, so you will get people to try it out, even. And if there wasn't other games coming out around it, I would probably buy it as well. But I already had to buy Stellar Blade. So again, this is the whole thing about games costing a lot. I can't sit there and I think this game's like 60 or 50. I can't remember.
Yeah, it's a little cheaper than like a full priced game.
But still, I mean, I'm already buying a $70 game. I bought the digital deluxe edition because you get the outfits and stuff for Eve, and then to go and be like, oh, I'm gonna spend another $50 in the same week for another game. That's not a lot of things people can really decide to do, right?
Yeah.
So, and there's other games that are coming out that week along with it too. It's not just those two games. So there's other options, other games that people are having to make those decisions on. Unfortunately, hopefully it'll get enough good press and reviews and those kind of things starting tomorrow that people will be excited and then hopefully it generates sales and everything. But good to see that even before we even get pre-sales and stuff like that, they're already announcing that this will continue, which is a good thing too, right? Like so many games come out. I know people say that they want games to have finality or games to just be one and done, but that's really not what a lot of the general outside of the hardcore gamer will actually tell you. They want to see it's like the TV show thing, right? A lot of people won't jump on a TV show unless they know that it's going to keep going.
That's
same thing with games, I think.
Jens is like that, but he wants like the show to have a definitive ending. It's like, not every show has that, or like you're cutting out so many shows then that don't have that. So
especially back in the day where they would just cancel something because they didn't have DVR or other things to tell you that, oh, people are actually watching this show. It's all about what you watch live, right? So yeah, just think about that. But I'm glad that we're getting good info about Ayuden Chronicle here. Speaking of games that are coming as well, maybe coming. According to a leaker, Midori on Twitter, who has a history of publishing information about Atlas titles before they become actually known, he says that, or this person says, Persona 1 and 2 will get remakes. To be safe, I'm saying that. We've seen it. We saw Persona 3 get the remake that people wanted for a long time. It probably means that Persona 4 is also getting a remake. Wouldn't doubt it. We know Persona 6 is in development somewhere.
I would much rather believe that Persona 4 is going to get a remake than 1 and 2. Especially 1. That is such a...
Well, but if they're remaking it, right, they could just remake them in the style of Persona 5. Right?
Yeah.
Isn't that kind of what we're trying to do?
Hopefully, but like 1 especially has such a wonky story. And like, good luck.
Right.
Like 3, 4, and 5 are all kind of based on the same, game engine for, and like, story beats and stuff like that. 1 and 2 aren't at all.
Yeah, those were much more into the Shin Megami Tensei vein.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
1 is a first-person game,
Yeah.
except for the battles, you know. But like you're navigating like the school like a first-person mode that sucks.
Yeah, so you would have to imagine if they are doing it, that's probably one of those like I wonder if they're probably not doing like the full on. I wonder if they really are doing like the full on remakes, or are they doing them together where they're gonna just release them together? I don't know. Just
I think the one thing they could do is that they could touch up 1, fully translate 2, because Persona 2 has like a really weird
well, I don't.
lineage.
It's like two halves, right? They had two different games for two.
And like America only got like 1/2.
Yeah, we got
So
the Eternal Punishment, and then
yeah,
Innocent Sin never came here except for the PSP version, right?
right. So
So
if they put both those out as like a complete game, be like, all right, I guess. But like trying to, you know, design those characters or design that world to be like look at like Persona 5 or Persona 3 Reload. That's a lot more of an involved process than Persona 4.
yeah, definitely. Don't know how many of the how much of the P studio can really be divided between.
Right.
Are they doing a Persona 4 remake? Persona 6, which is coming, they just haven't announced it. I mean, obviously that could still be longer in development, right? These Persona 1 and 2 remakes, and you got a whole nother team at Atlas working on that Med 4 Refantasio that is going to get a big direct of its own on Monday.
Yeah.
So, yeah, a lot of Persona stuff coming. Obviously, being popular, it helps.
Yep.
But yeah, I wouldn't put it past them to be doing it. But man, it would definitely be, I guess, a surprise at that point if they are.
Right.
Speaking of surprises, really quick, we didn't think that Kena Bridge of Spirits was going to come to Xbox perhaps ever. It did come to came to Epic Game Store and PS5, PS4 when it released in September 2021. Then it came to Steam a year later after the Epic Game Store exclusivity ended. But then it's like, oh man, this is like a PlayStation game, right? They talked about it could come to other consoles, but it's like you think that they'll just stay on PlayStation, but apparently it's been rated for Xbox, so I guess cool that Xbox gamers are gonna get that game. I really liked it when it first came out. So
Apparently, there's a game I just saw this a few hours ago or an hour ago called Vigor.
yeah,
It's a like free to play shooter or
mm-hmm.
online shooter or something. It's on consoles. It came out on consoles like 5 years ago, and
Yeah,
now it's finally hitting like PC. And it's like
that's crazy to think about. Yeah,
it took them long enough. Like what the hell? Like,
yeah, you normally don't see that, like not that long where you gotta
yeah,
wait. 1-2 years, okay, but
right.
especially
But
for
also,
PC.
like, I never even heard of this game. So
What, bigger? Yeah.
yeah,
I heard about it, like I'd seen it on the store or whatever, but I didn't, really
no
kind of pay
interest or
attention to
yeah,
it.
like
Yeah.
yeah,
But hey, if we're talking PC ports, Ghost of Tsushima is coming soon, May 16th, so in about a month. And the cool thing about Ghost of Tsushima is that PlayStation is going to finally get to reveal their overlay, where you're going to have access to all of your PlayStation. Well, I would say you have access to PlayStation trophies. It could very well be that they're not going to just make them pop as soon as you start the Ghost of Tsushima director's cut. They
yeah,
could be completely different from the PlayStation 5 or 4 versions, and you have to unlock them all over again for PC. So just be aware. They are going to support Steam achievements and Epic Game Store achievements as well, so that's cool.
yep.
What do you think about this? Like, if you're a PlayStation owner, does that entice you to maybe double dip or whatever if your trophies are showing up on there?
Not for me personally, but if other people want them, sure. I don't remember that game. I don't remember that game having like specifically hard achievements, though, or trophies or anything. So,
I mean, I always think that this is good. Like, I love the fact that when you play it, the way Xbox does it, where they transfer and all that stuff. So if they do make that happen, I think it's great for the folks that do want to double dip, or even the ones that are just playing on PC. If you're playing it off Steam, I do think this is going to eventually lead to there's going to be a PlayStation launcher.
yeah, maybe.
I feel like this is the only way they're going to be able to justify closing that gap.
I hope it's not a store. That's the thing. I hope it's just a launcher.
Yeah, don't make it a store. Let it still launch from Steam. I think they know better. Like, at this point, they have to be able to read the room and know that people already have an issue with the Epic Games Store. Like, and then you're gonna tell people that, oh no, it's not just, oh, you can buy it on Steam, I guess, if you want to. But if you want to get it first, you have to buy it on our store. And it's like, I don't know about that. Like,
right.
You're going to run into that same problem where people are just going to wait for it to show up on Steam, and you kill a lot of people buying it. So have your launcher, everybody does, but don't
Speaking
waste
of
your time with the store.
Weird PlayStation wonkiness, I did reinstall Remnant 2 because the DLC sitting next week, and Jens will actually want to play something for once. And it installed. It actually did install correctly, or said it installed fine. Loaded up, and like my character was gone.
Oh wow! Really?
Like, what the fuck? Like, it was just like this weird,
crazy.
like, it said I had a character, but it was like a weird, like, red loading, like, it almost like the Matrix or something. Like, they're trying to like load a character, but it couldn't do it. And I was like, I didn't delete this character. I'm like, what the hell just happened? I created a new character for a second, and that character loaded up fine. So I was like, is my save corrupted? I mean, what the hell? Downloaded my save from the cloud, and it still was screwed up. And I was like, God damn it! I have to play this fucking game again. Like,
wow.
And then I rebooted my PlayStation, and then it worked. But I was like, why?
Yeah, that's weird.
I rebooted my system, and then I was like, oh, Remnant 2 is installed. And I was like, wasn't it installed 5 minutes ago? Like, I could get in the game fine.
See that a lot.
Yeah. So thankfully I still have my character, but I was really worried for about 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah, that would be worrying me too. If I'm excited, I want to play that game, and then I was like, oh, I got to restart this again.
Yeah.
No. Really quick before we get to the Nintendo Indie World thing, just saw this. What do you think if Blizzard found a way to add some life into Diablo by making a Diablo TV show?
Only if it's about Deckard Cain. But a 90-year-old priest or whatever. Like, I guess, but like, I don't know. I'd rather have StarCraft or something like fun. Like, Diablo's not exactly a fun franchise or a fun property.
Yeah, Diablo's definitely not going to be for the kids, I'll tell you that much. I mean, not that Fallout is either, or Last of Us, or but yeah, I mean, if you want your mature, like, dark TV, I guess Blizzard could maybe throw that in there. I don't know. They could. I mean, if anything, people have always liked the CG stuff with them, or most of the story stuff. Yeah,
I think it's telling. Yesterday, I actually did pick up this is an official release, by the way, the Warcraft 3, Diablo 2, and StarCraft 1 cinematic DVDs.
Yeah, I have that.
Yeah,
that box set.
It wasn't a box set. I mean, I know it does come in a box set, but these are like the individual releases.
Oh, really?
And I was like, hey, for $7, why not?
Man, they were still selling those in Walmarts like many years ago. Even when you had barely any PC disc releases, they still had those there in the game sections.
No. These are the cinematics DVDs.
Oh, just the cinematics DVD. Okay, wow.
Yeah, these are like DVD movies, or yeah, it's not the games. I already got the games. I don't need those again. These are just like the 20-second long FMVs in the games.
They actually where did you pick it up at? Just
I use Media Store, but
okay.
I think Blizzard does still sell the things on like their website for like $15. But yeah, they're like remastered, because they look like ass in the games. So, but I think there's a lot of lore with like Diablo and stuff, but aside from like Deckard Cain, there's not like a character. There's no like notable characters.
Yeah, I mean, well, you're making your own character, right? So they would have to kind of just
Right.
Here's the bespoke sorcerer and the bespoke warrior and all that.
Yeah, it'll be like that Arcane show.
Yeah,
that I never watched, but hey, Ella Purnell's in it now, or she voices the main character.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. They could do it. Like it could work. Just
right.
Will they have that whole? I mean, it's the same thing of like at this point with all the animated shorts or whatever they've done for Overwatch, they could have made an Overwatch like animated show, and it would have done really well because people love those kind of things. But I don't know. That's something Microsoft would really have to decide at that point. But the way it's been going, that's how you extend your games at this point, is have some other kind of outside property that really pushes that.
Yeah.
So it would be something good for them to do. Even Stellar Blade did it with they had a K-pop music video,
right,
to promote Stellar Blade. So yeah, get on it, Blizzard and Microsoft. Might want to think about it. You've seen what it does with the Fallout show, so why not?
Right.
But Nintendo does these indie world things.
Go ahead. Man, you saw what it did for the Halo franchise, also.
Oh well, that's one that I like. Definitely, those people didn't get the assignment.
Or the Twisted Metal show.
The Twisted Metal show people liked. Okay, it got a season 2. Well enough.
So did Halo. I mean,
yeah, but I don't know. Like Twisted Metal was way more better received than Halo has ever been.
Right.
But But yes, talking about this Nintendo Indie World showcase, I have to wonder how many more of these are going to be there until we're talking about the Switch 2. But hey, the one thing the Switch has been known for in its lifespan is that it's the indie machine. And they definitely showed that off here. I don't know, did you watch this or?
I watched a good chunk of it. I don't think I watched all of it. I know people were pissed that Hollow Knight.
Yeah.
And it's like, yo, that is a Microsoft fucking game. Like,
well, it's on Game Pass.
I know,
right? Yeah,
I know it'll come to Switch, but it's not like that's not like the first console I think of when I think of Hollow Knight.
Well, the first time we saw anything for it was another Xbox showcase like many years ago. So you would think that Microsoft probably has the sort of the marketing rights or whatever to that.
Yeah.
And if anything, they're not going to show up in a Nintendo showcase. They're gonna show up in. If they were going to show up in something, they might have shown up in that III one that we talked about last week or something like that. Not one done by Nintendo, right?
Yeah, that's the point, right?
So I think people were kind of the same thing that happens every time Nintendo does a direct. They were hyping themselves up too much for something that was never going to happen. So you can't really be upset about something like that. Stuff that I guess stood out to me that I'm interested in. That Little Kitty Big City game looks fun. It's gonna be on Game Pass. It's releasing May 9th, which apparently like a bunch of different indies want to release on May 9th. So have at it. I don't know if this is did this come out before Pizza Tower or how this works? Anton Blast, but it looks very much like Pizza Tower, maybe the same team, I think. Comes out November 12th. And it's going to be a time console exclusive. So I guess this is kind of it's very much the same. So if you play Pizza Tower, it looks very similar. You play with, there's 2 characters instead of 1, different like backgrounds and things like that. And there's a demo that's out like right now. So if you like Pizza Tower, go check this out. Go play the demo. And it comes out November 12th. So that'll come out soon. That Yars Rising game, that's the new Way Forward game. That's very much like a side scroller, very much like the Shantae games that they're used to making. Also, they make the River City Girls games too. This one has like a bit of a sci-fi tinge to it, and it's like more like 2.5D, not so much the 2D. But it looks good. I'm interested in it. They showed more of that Lorelei and the Laser Eye, which I'm also interested in. That's I guess the next Annapurna joint, also from the Simogo people. And that looks insane. Like the story looks nuts. Like there's just so much stuff going on. I love like the black and white aesthetic with the puzzle stuff. So that looks cool. What'd you think of the Ninja Turtles game?
Looks good. I mean, it's already out on iOS, so hopefully they just fix the controls, maybe add some more stuff, and should be okay.
Yeah, this is the
where's Venus de Milo?
Right.
Everyone's favorite turtle.
Yeah, this is the roguelike game or roguelike game, which hey, a roguelike that's co-op, that's pretty fun to me. You still deal with the turtles, so the whole basis of it looked pretty cool. And the way that people like roguelikes, we just had the technical test came out for Hades 2, and people were loving that.
Yep.
So I'm hoping that the beta.
I didn't get in that, unfortunately.
You didn't apply for it?
But no, I did,
okay.
But it's probably like a very small subset, or
Hopefully they have a wider beta soon. And you can get into it, or both of us.
Yeah, other thing that kind of interested me in this thing was that SteamWorld Heist 2.
Yes, that was the one more thing for this, and I love SteamWorld Heist 1. Never thought we were gonna get another one, so
I wanted to like SteamWorld Heist 1, except it had a problem of the action was terrible. So
yeah, fair enough.
Like it was, remember that codename Steam game for this the Switch that came out, where it's like, okay, it's a strategy game, but the enemies move, and you're trying to like aim for headshots, but like the last second the enemy like ducks his head out of the way. So instead of like a 95% hit chance, you get like a 45% hit chance. It's like, this is not fun.
Right.
So hopefully they fix that. But other than that, the game looked fine, or looked decent.
Yeah, like I really like that they added all the different stuff in here with it. It still has tactical turn-based like shooting stuff, but it also has like real-time naval combat too. And all the stuff that they're gonna add in with like the story, and it's actually available August 8th. So that it's coming out like at the end of the summer. That's gonna be great that it's out there. Europa, which got delayed, it's coming out later, but there is a demo out today. That game, every time I've seen it, love the art style, love just the adventureness of it with the different biomes and stuff. That game looks like it's going to be enjoyable. So yeah, there was a lot of good stuff in here. And that Stitch game is interesting for the folks that like those like puzzle games. Very cool that's in here.
I heard someone whining.
Yeah, my poor dog. I think she wants to go outside. So yeah. Well, that's pretty much it for the show this week. Let me go. My poor dog.
Sure.
What?
She just wanted to make herself.
That's what she does. Hello. Oh, thank you.
See, my cat doesn't care whether to live or
Okay.
die, so that's why Enid makes an appearance.
Yeah, my dog is used to being in the room, so when she's like left out there and the other dogs aren't there with her, she's like, I don't want to be with myself. Let me back in. So that being said, going on to the I guess ending here, we know what's coming. Oh, I forgot to mention that another one of those games shown in the sizzle reel, another Crab's Treasure comes out this week. That's the Dark Souls game that's you're playing as a crab. That also it's a sequel, if you didn't know already. So yeah, this is the week, right? This is the week that we've kind of all been waiting. You got that Tales of Kinsaro Zao that has a lot of hype behind it. That's going to come to PS Plus that people are excited about as well.
Yep.
I'm excited to try that out too. That comes out also on the 23rd as well. So we mentioned already Ayudin Chronicle. I keep forgetting there's no S in that game's name.
Don't worry, the Chronicles will be the sequel.
Yeah.
The 101.
Definitely. That's going to be out on the 23rd. So, everybody go play that. It's on Game Pass. Check it out for sure. Support them. Support those devs, people. Definitely they could use it. That TMNT game is also out, the arcade game. Wrath of the Mutants. That also comes out on the 23rd. That's out on everything, so go play that as well. The Saga Emerald Beyond game also comes out on the 25th. So if I talked about the demo 2 weeks ago. So yeah, go check that out. That's out on everything too. Manalord's on Game Pass. That's out on the 26th. The Sandland game is out on the 26th as well. If there's anybody that knows a Bandai Namco UK PR person, DM me. I'm trying to find the review code for one of my folks at Last Word on Gaming. And then, of course, Thunderblade that everybody is waiting on. I've already got it. It's preloaded. I'm waiting for that game. I'm excited. That's going to be my next game that I'm going to be playing the heck out of. So, yeah, it's finally here next week. Lots of games. I'll be talking about Ayudin Chronicle as well. Hopefully, Marc will have No Rest for the Wicked to talk about.
Yeah, we'll see.
And we'll see.
Something new.
But there'll definitely be new games for us to talk about next week. Until then, thank you for watching. Appreciate everybody that does watch live. You can listen later on podcasts. It'll be right there on the YouTube feed immediately on demand too. Go subscribe there. You'll get it whenever we do the show. And we should be back to the Friday episodes for this week. So, all right. Until then, everybody. See you later.
Later.